Alyssa Thompson is putting together pretty much an MVP caliber season in NWSL. And this is a player that is not losing that translation when she goes to the international level. She's absolutely producing for both club and country. I think she's been the biggest bright spot for that attacking core.
Victory over China, and they will be going up against Jamaica tomorrow. And to hear more about that, because there's loads to talk about with the US women's national team and the NWSL, is Sandra Herrera, the senior women's football writer here at CBS Sports. So Sandra, how are you? Good to see you.
Great to see you all. It's been a little while. Happy to be back.
Good. Well, look, you were at the game in Minnesota, 3-0, loads of goals, which is what we love. What did you make of the game?
I was pretty impressed with this one, and I have to say it was a little bit on the opposition side that made me kind of open my eyes such a little bit. Thinking about China and kind of where they're going as a program as well. They're similar parallels to United States and Emma Hayes is that they're also trying to utilize these games in this year to kind of build up to their own qualifiers and that 2027 World Cup. So maybe they were going to play a certain type of way against this United States, but they definitely surprised them, and that's really what surprised me from the United States and their performance against China was kind of just noticing their kind of quick decision making, their ability to kind of shift into making those adjustments, which is what Emma Hayes and the coaching staff has been looking for from this team. And it maybe is the right timing for it as well, because we're about 6 months in now officially to this year. And she's going to start to narrow things down, Emma Hayes, as far as the core of players and roster that she typically will select in and out of camps moving forward for the remainder of the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these players who were on that starting 11 last night, or maybe they're holdovers into the starting 11 against Jamaica, will be part of that player pool, that core of players that they're going to continue to rotate and in and out of international windows all the way in the buildup to future World Cup qualifiers next year.
Sandra, let's talk about Naomi Girma. Obviously, it was brilliant to see her back in the starting lineup. She didn't need to be at her best because, you know, Team USA absolutely dominated China, as you saw in the game. But how exciting was it for the team and for Emma Hayes to have someone like that back in the starting lineup?
It was immense. I mean, she immediately settled things down. Poor China, I think maybe they had about 5 minutes of a dominating momentum window. They had all of that moving forward, but you could see in maybe some of the very early missteps and the early recognition and the fact that the opposition was playing a higher line versus maybe a mid block to kind of be more organized. It was Girma that kind of helped really kind of settle things and get things going. She was phenomenal, covering so much of the pitch at times, ended up leading the team in total touches. I believe it was well over 100. And she had already reached that mark kind of by the hour mark of the game with 100 touches on the ball. So it was evident that they had missed her in a certain capacity, but in a lot of other ways, this group has kind of found out what it has meant to play ball without her, which I think is also equally important if you're the coaching staff, because part of what Emma Hayes has been preaching throughout these last 6 months is that you have the players who are available. And so while, yes, they are continuing to evaluate that pool, not everyone's always going to be available. So they have to continue to get those evaluations in and that development in as well. And so seeing Girma's return to the team, and not unsurprising to no one that she had such a phenomenal game, it opened up things for that team for sure.
I think Girma will be looking forward to getting some more minutes after the season. I definitely would have liked to have seen her more in the WSL. At the other end of the pitch, you guys had no issue finding the net. I think an Emma Hayes team, they always know how to get results, and having a forward line with as much depth and who can score as many goals as they did the other day is a really good sign.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to how Hayes has said that the players that they have are the ones that they are who are available. Very early in this year, she was asked a lot about that Triple Espresso line out of the 2024 Olympics, and they knew more or less that they were not going to have a Sophia Wilson, a Trinity Rodman, or Mallory Swanson moving forward in 2025 for a varying layer of reasons, whether they were working their way back from an exhaustive year with injuries or maternity leave, or in Rodman's case, she's been very vocal about her back issue. So who are going to be the players that kind of step up and show out a little bit during these windows? And I think that has been kind of the most pleasant surprise out of these last 6 months, and specifically out of this window already with one game remaining against Jamaica, is that they have depth at that attacking line, where maybe they thought that they didn't at one point. Alyssa Thompson is putting together pretty much an MVP caliber season in NWSL, and this is a player that is not losing that translation when she goes to the international level. She's absolutely producing for both club and country. I think she's been the biggest bright spot for that attacking core. But then you've also got a lot of promising talents that are kind of emerging along the way as well. Michelle Cooper putting together a pretty good first half shift, despite maybe some question marks around some lingering injuries for her. And Allie Sentner as well, obviously getting a lot of time with this team moving forward. So while I believe Triple Espresso is probably the ideal, when they're healthy and when they make their return closer to World Cup qualifiers or World Cup cycle, this team absolutely has attacking depth as well outside of them.
Sandra, just finally quickly on Team USA, because I think it's a lovely story. So often when we talk about this team, we focus on the youth, the likes of Lily Johannes, but Lo'eau LaBonta, it was brilliant to see her setting the record, the oldest debutant for the US national side. What did you make of her performance?
It was wonderful to see it. We're so thrilled. She's one of our attacking third contributors. She got out there, every single one of her passes she completed. So, I mean, completing 100% of her passes in the 20 minutes that she was given just speaks calibers to who she is. She's brought the leadership and the lightheartedness, whether it's for club, and she's brought it to country as well. And it's been great to see her get these opportunities.
Yeah, you could see how much it meant to her. A bit close to home, away from the national team. There's some big news coming out of Spirit with a new manager there. How are the Spirit fans reacting to the change?
Not happy, and rightfully so, because that's sort of been part of the culture of the Washington Spirit. The culture has been that there has been constant change. There's been constant rotation. There's always been a coach in and or out with the Spirit, even as Michelle King has taken over the Washington Spirit and had moved on to go ahead and acquire even more clubs. And I think that's part of the narrative in this sort of new story as well. The fact that Adrian Gonzalez is going to be named official head coach moving forward. He is who came in the interim last season, because Giraldes did not arrive to NWSL until midway point last year, because he was going to finish up his time with Barcelona. And now the roles have been reversed a little bit. He will eventually depart to go and coach OL, but that won't be until following the July break for NWSL and right at the start of the French team's campaign. So roles are reversed a little bit. Michelle King has her men, no matter which way you cut it or slice it or fold it. Gonzalez will remain with the Spirit, and he's already done a lot of work and has a good resume with them, while Giraldes will return back to Europe and coach this time in France. And so I think in the meantime, there's going to be those question marks for those Spirit fans to say, well, was this just an experiment? Was this just a placeholder to eventually get this coach in one area while we remain with this coach? There's going to be a lot of questions that continue to fly around. I think maybe not the ideal optics that King and her clubs would want at this moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if once things kind of align themselves and the results come, a lot of times ownership groups will continue to just kind of fall back on those things.